Finding growth after that toxic relationship. We've all been there, and I think it's a great topic. So let's talk about it. Roll it. Welcome back to another video where we've been exploring patience, positive growth, that whole idea of growth, change that always happens with time ticking away, and of course those bad experiences that make us into the people we are. The video yesterday went into that extensive idea of the process we should take in order to really look at getting through that bad experience quicker and back on that direction that we need to be heading. And in today's video, we're going to look at this toxic relationship idea because it's a big topic. A lot of people go through it, and it might help quite a few. I'll link that video up top here and below of yesterday's video with the bad experiences, and maybe take a look so that you can start getting your mindset moving in that positive, right direction. Toxic relationships are a dime a dozen, just like bad experiences. We have them, and this isn't just those toxic relationships where, you know, we're with our significant other. It's your family, it's your friends, it's the people you work with, it's the business partners, it's your significant other, of course, but it's that whole cluster of relationships, not just the significant one. We deal with toxic people all the time. And this video is really for that aftermath, the aftermath of going through a toxic relationship. Today I want to focus on this because it has been our theme. What happens after? How do we deal with stuff after the fact? Because what happens with toxic relationships, we get into this mindset through the toxic relationship where our principles, our values, our integrity is diminished. We get pounded down, and as we go through this process of being pounded down, well, we experience a new form of us where we've never seen before, and it really plays havoc in our mindset. And we end up getting stuck in this present moment that really is the past, but we think of it as a present moment. In previous videos, where I'll link above, we talked about working with these toxic relationships, getting through them. And as we get through them, we realize that we need to grow our integrity back. We need to get our values in check. We need to be centered when dealing with a person. And of course, we have to use this magical word, no. No is the most underrated, underused word that we have when we communicate with people. It is a fear-based word. And what I mean by this is we fear saying it because we're worried about the future of what's going to happen when we say no. And this is where, when I made the video, The Yes Man, it was all about this mindset where we say yes to everything when we shouldn't be. And what ends up happening is when we don't want to do something, we start limiting our opportunity for growth. And what happens is our integrity goes down, our principles, our values start to just diminish, and then we become this doormat where everybody just takes advantage, and then we wonder why nobody respects us, and then why nobody loves us. Respect and love go hand in hand. You cannot have love if you do not have respect. Very simple. Put this in your mindset. Whenever you see people who don't respect you, you know automatically they will never love you. Respect is needed. And to be really clear, this is in every relationship and all the different types of loves we have. Whether it is for your parents, whether it is for your cousins, your brothers, your sisters, your co-workers, your business, your significant other, respect has to exist in order for that love to be there. So you can hug it and squeeze it and just feel full of life and happiness. So as we go through these relationships and we exit them finally, whether you got your integrity up and got yourself centered so you can say, no, I'm not going to accept this. I deserve more. I want to be respected. I want to be loved. Well, you exit. Or you go through the phase where you finally get discarded because the person's done playing with the toy, and now you're left. And you exit and you go, in either case, where am I? What am I doing? What is happening with me? Step one is realizing that reality just occurred. This is what has happened. You could be the one side where you're a little bit better off because you are centered, you're ready to go, and you can say, hey, I know who I am. I still need to work on myself, but at least I know and I can move forward. Or you're gonna be that person who's lost everything. They don't know who they are, what are they doing, they have no purpose, their values are just gone, their emotional status is this magical entertainment of negative thoughts, and they don't know what's going on. And the reality is you're going to be one or the other and somewhere in between. That's, and you all have your up and lows. It's just simple economics of life. This is what's going to be happening. But the fact is that you need to accept that this has happened. Reality just slapped you in the face. You've been hit. And now it's a past and it's over here. And we need to accept that that's happened. 2, it is to look at what occurred and ask yourself, what have you been doing with yourself while in that relationship? How much time did you actually spend on yourself? How much time was the focus on that relationship? On making sure that relationship survives? Focusing that, hey, that business partner loves me, or focusing on that career and your manager loves you, or your subordinates love you, or your significant other, your family. How much time did you spend to make those relationships work? Because sometimes we end up spending so much time on that we forget about ourselves. We forget who we are. And then in that process, we lose our value-based system, our principles, our integrity. And once you lose all that, well, life is just a daily routine of movement forward. There is no self-respect and no self-love for yourself. So how could you even give it to anybody else if you don't even have it for yourself? Which brings us to this next point of saying, all right, what do I need to do to get back in that driver's lane to start building that self-respect and self-love? What has to occur now? Do I need to stay in that past? Or is it time for me to take my learning notes and start applying myself to that next thing I need to achieve? I usually recommend people start looking at themselves of what they're doing with their career and their business or whatever they're doing for that money source. I usually ask them, well, what are you doing with that and what do you really want to do? Let's start planning out that future that you want to achieve with that. And then second is to work on your body, your health. What occurred during that relationship. And 7 times out of 10 people have gained weight. They stopped working out, they stopped being active, they stopped doing anything. They just started like eating bad and just watching TV. And as the relationship progressed, the sex went down, so they weren't even having a lot of sex anymore. So all the energy that they had, just for things, that it just stopped. So getting yourself back into the gym and just getting your body to feel that burn of that, working out with the weights, it really jump starts your mindset, because it helps with that mental state of who you really are. You get to feel something that you haven't felt for a very long time. And next we look at what actually has occurred and what is it that you want out of the next relationship in that scenario. When I talk to people about business and their business partners and how they got screwed over, well, what are your principles? Where was your integrity? Where did it go? When did you stop saying no? Because in business, you need to be able to say no. You need to be able to have a concrete no, or else you will get screwed. Very simple. So the question is, who do you want as a business partner in the future? What are the characteristics that you want? What about your career? What kind of a manager do you want? I always tell this story to people I meet who want to ask me, what was it like in the corporate world, because I'm thinking of going there. Well, I used to work at a couple corporations, but in the one, the manager from hell would come in, and you'd be working in the clouds would come in, and everything would get dark, and you would see literally that Satan walking in, and you're like, oh God, how do I get out of here? And you try to sneak off and get your break before they come talk to you, because you knew they're gonna ask you to do another like 5 things on top of what you had to do, and then they're gonna blame you for not keeping your quotas up. And then you had the other manager who would come in, and he's like, woo, where are we? What's going on? I'm here. What do you need help with? How can I help you be more efficient, be better? And off we go. Quite literally, the skies would open up, sunshine would come in. It was a night and day scenario. Efficiency through the roof. This was a person who, if I said I have to take the afternoon off, be like, get the hell out of here as soon as possible, and tomorrow come in a couple of hours early if you haven't gotten your stuff done by the time you leave. There was this mutual respect of personal boundaries, that personal life. They understood what it means to be human, where the other person just understood quotas and hating you and making sure you hate your job. Would I want to work with that negative Nelly again? Never. I don't want to work with negative people. I can't stand negative people in the workplace. It's horrendous. Yes, say your negative piece, but when you're that person that it was just like, man, you need to surround yourself with people who love themselves, respect themselves. And when it comes to family, well, yes, you can't get rid of family. But the toxic people in your family, you can limit that contact. You can limit the opportunities that there are for you to correspond with those people. You can start saying no to those people first, and I guarantee you, they will have the biggest response for you in a negative way because you started saying no. So don't let that hinder your success on saying no. And then, you look at your friends and look at all your friends. Look what is happening with your friends. And ask yourself, why did that friendship end? What ended up happening down the road? What kind of toxicity existed? And what were the characteristics I need to avoid in the next group of people that come into my life? Because this is really critical. The people around you make or break you. Quite simple. I have noticed this incredible thing over my years, that when I start achieving new big things that I see my purpose being for, people stop. They literally stop making an effort. I'm not sure as to the amount of time it takes, but I notice it after a period of 3 months, 6 months. And then when you're working on a big project for over a year and you have commitments each day and you have to prioritize, then you really see that happening. And the question why comes up, and I can address that why and put it over here and know that I don't need that kind of person in my life. And the magical thing from it, they're pushing themselves away on their own. You don't even have to try, because you're prioritizing what you need to prioritize. That purpose, that mission in your life. You're putting habits into play and you're prioritizing your time, and you're saying, hey, I gotta do this for the next 3 hours. I can't pick up the phone, and they're getting angry because you're that yes person who always picks up the phone once they call, and all of a sudden you're not doing that. Well, eventually they start to push themselves away because that's not what they want. That's not what you've taught them. The rules of engagement in that friendship and what you have negotiated has changed, and they're not liking it, and they know that they should be respecting the changes you need, but that's too much work. I'd rather go find somebody else. This is where it comes down to. So what are those characteristics? They all, in all these relationships, have similar characteristics. They all have their own set of values in that relationship. They're prioritizing on the other side the people, and you guys are creating a negotiated set of values, principles within that relationship. And when they go, you want to ask yourself, is that what I want again? And lastly, that significant other toxic relationship. Those are the most devastating ones, because the other ones, yes, they're there, but once you start working on another business, or you start working on another job and you get that other job, you start that other business, well, those toxic people start to fade away rather quickly. Family, well, friends, yeah, once you get going and you meet new people with the friends, yeah, it's easier and those other people fade away. But family, well, that one's hard and you can't really get rid of them. So basically you're just creating that understanding and the new dynamics and the relationships you have. But the toxic relationships, those ones are hard because you give it all. You put yourself on the line. You want to make it work. You want to see somebody forever, not for the next 3 months, 6 months, a year, where they torture you and then, repeat because you keep meeting or dating these people that are toxic. And this is where I always tell people, where is your integrity? Where are your principles? Where are your values? Write all these down. Do a mind map. Put a whiteboard up. Know to look at them each and every day. Do a checklist on the things that you want to see based on those in other people. If they don't have them, then you can say no right away. One of my key characteristics in any relationship I have, right across the board on all the different areas, is ambition. I love ambition. I want to spend as much time as I can with ambitious people. It is on my list. When we get into toxic relationships, though, they show this at the beginning, but as time goes on, you realize that it's not the reality. Ambitious people tend not to be that toxic. They tend to be focused on their purpose, their mission in life. That key characteristic of what they're doing is a good place to observe the patterns. Because if you can see that, then you know that this person, there's a good likelihood that they are not toxic. Now, do toxic people, do they have ambition? Of course. But usually they're negative on it. These are just patterns I've experienced. So you may have found out a little bit different. And yes, this is true. But this is where you see that negativity come up on that ambition. It's that negative self-talk. It's that talk to you where you're not good enough, and that's why they aren't good enough. They might still be having that idea of that ambition, but it's an idea of the ambition. And when we look at those people that, they are toxic and have the ambition versus those people that are not toxic and have the ambition, the idea of ambition is what we need to discover in the patterns of how they work over a period of time. And then we realize, do they have ambition or is it the idea? It's patterns. This is it. Patterns. So if we understand this during a relationship, well, this is critical because as we go through that relationship, we stick to our principles, our values, our integrity. We say no when we have to say no. And what ends up occurring is that those toxic relationships will end faster. As long as we're sticking to our purpose, mission, we're sticking to our good habits. We don't introduce bad habits. We say that word no when we need to have our priorities, stick to what the priorities are. Well, the toxic person isn't going to like it, and they're going to say, well, where's my side of things? And they will eventually leave. Two people come together to grow together. And if the toxic person isn't allowing you to grow, well, you're not going to grow. And then you're going to start being resentful to your own personal situation. And then that respect will be gone. And then that self-love goes. Forget the other love. That love never existed. What I'm trying to say is that at the end of every toxic relationship, you're in between, and especially when you're with the significant other, you can be left with nothing. You can be left with absolutely nothing. Not just like a monetary sense, like no house, no anything. You can be left with a mindset of nothing, knowing that, hey, I just exist. I don't know who I am. I don't know what's happening. I don't know how to get moving. I don't know what my values are. I don't know where my principles are. Forget integrity. Like even my principles of life. And this is a critical moment where we have to look at it and say, all right, these are the things that we're experiencing. Go through the process and then start focusing on those things for yourself to bring that self-respect back. This is critical. A lot of people will focus on, hey, I'm working towards being positive, and hey, I'm focusing on self-love, but they don't respect themselves enough to do the things they need to do in order to bring self-love into the equation. That's the sad reality of it. Very sad reality, but this is a common thing that occurs. This is why when people come up to me and they go, hey, I've been positive and it's been great, I know there will be a downturn when a bad experience happens, when a toxic person comes back into their life. Because trying to be positive and trying to focus on always being positive, it does not mean that you're doing the things that get you in that mindset where integrity runs the show, where your decisions are based on that integrity. And all of a sudden those positive things turn into negative things because the word no isn't being used, and off we go. So this is my last thing on this, is say no. When you leave a toxic relationship, start saying no. Look at people and say to yourself, am I doing what I want to be doing right now? Am I doing what I need to be doing right now? Am I spending the time with the people I need to be spending right now? And if it's not, say no. Say no and go do the things you need to do for yourself. And I guarantee you, just by saying no will pump you in that right direction. It'll get you started so that you can start focusing on those things that will bring you that mindset you need to start moving in the right direction, so that change can occur, and it's positive change. A positive change that will help you grow in the right direction. My name is Nikos Rentas. This is mentorsapproach.com. Hit a like if you like what you see. Of course, hit the subscribe button. And don't forget to leave a comment below of a scenario you've been through where you are looking for that positive change. What story applies that somebody could be reading based on what you experience? Because who knows, maybe the person that reads it is going through something similar, and you might help change a life. Snow again.